Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Medicare Cafe. We had a little bit of technical issues, aka just the life of Medicare Cafe, so we didn't get to hang on and do too much of the pre-chat. But before I get started, I wanted to introduce my friend over here. Unfortunately, again, my name's Olivia Richardson. Unfortunately, my co-host Carrie, very unfortunate, but my co-host Carrie couldn't be here today. So today I'm bringing in the B team, aka... I'm so mean to you.
I'm JV for sure.
JV, a.k.a. I don't mean that at all, my good friend Clayton. So you guys may be really familiar with Clayton. Clayton is a frequent flyer, a familiar face to the Medicare Cafe Facebook group. So Clayton, because, I don't know that you've ever done hey, this is who I am, this is what I do here, come be my friend. Can you give a little bit of a intro to who you are and what you do on the Facebook group?
For sure.
Here's a microphone.
This is a microphone.
This is new to you?
Okay, yeah.
You talk
new
into
technology.
This bit right here.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm Clayton Clements. I'm on our agent resources team here at Senior Marketing Specialist. But the most fun I get to do is interact with you all on the Agent Connect or Medicare Agent Group Facebook page.
It's okay. First
Words
time.
are hard.
You learn from the best, i.e.
So I love that page a lot. I get to work with you all on kind of sharing some content or ideas that get floated around either on the phone, in the different meetings, and try to get little quick blurbs out to y'all on different things. Really kind of judging by what you all are asking for on the different, platforms like this. On the Facebook page, there's lots of questions on there. So just love getting to work with everybody on that.
So everybody interact with Clayton. Really,
Please.
That's what it comes down to.
I need more friends because Olivia's my friend.
I'm very abusive. I'm a very abusive one in the relationship. So make sure, again, so that is our Facebook page, just facebook.com, and you know how to work Facebook. We are a closed group, and that is the Medicare Cafe Agents closed group. Join that, again, to interact with the team. It's closed because we want you to be able to talk about situations, clients, ask questions, and not have the general public seeing that. So... more to come on that.
The question part is awesome, so definitely feel free to throw whatever on that page, or if you just want to kind of gauge what other agents are doing, that's a great platform for that.
I like it. So Clayton, just so you know, so what we do, just so everyone else knows, there's like a 30-second delay in what we say versus what they see. It's supposed to be in case you're live and somebody says something super offensive or they cuss, you can bleep it.
Good call.
So
Safe.
Yeah, but that option's not on. It's just the delay. There's no one bleeping you. Just to be clear. Just say.
Okay.
So today, what we are talking about is going to be issues that you are going to run into during AEP. In addition, like Clayton talked about, he also sits on the Agent Resources team. And with the Agent Resources team, during AEP, we shut down everything and only focus on solving issues.
Right.
And so these are some of the most common calls, common complaints, common issues that we get during AEP. And just wanting to help you know what to do in these situations, how to solve them, and a lot of times how to prevent them.
Yeah.
So you're going to be a lot of help today.
I hope so.
This was on purpose. So again, during AEP, there's things that what we have always done in the past is we always like these survival kits. Survival kits if you're face-to-face, remote, in their home, in the office. And we've always talked about that's where I know I've been quoted a lot of never eat gas station sushi.
That's a weird quote.
Don't do that during AEP. You will have a bad time and have to cancel some appointments. Or I guess if you're doing an appointment remote, you can do it from a bathroom. No one would know.
Yeah. Green screen everything.
Sure. So let's get into what our first, issue that we can see a lot of individuals having issues with. And I think this is by far the number one call we get during AEP is checking the statuses of our apps. For the love of everything that is good in this world, during AEP, I know it's an administrative task that doesn't make you money, but you will think it's in the long run. Check up on your applications. Ignorance is not bliss. If you and you can't just look at your commissions and be I'm going to get paid for this in January. For the love of God, people can switch plans and not tell you, not know about it. So a client that you wrote in October may not be your client in December. Applications can pin for the craziest of reasons. We've had it all the time where fax cover sheets, it's it says my fax came through. Facts are liars.
Facts are liars. Facts are not facts.
Facts are not facts. They are liars and they are no good. So you can say I sent this fax. I got a fax confirmation. Girl, we didn't get it. So please, for the love of God, check your applications.
Super important. I know we push that a lot on the agent resources side, especially on the back half of AEP. But the earlier the better. But for sure, just keep checking on those. That's something where if your upline's not helping you do that, reach out to the carriers, look at the carrier resources that are available, see what kind of is out there to be able to check those. And like Olivia said, it's not something necessarily that's going to be making you money, but it'll is if you catch that.
Yeah, for sure. Now, if you call in our office, like I said, what are the resources to make sure? Number one, you can always call our office to help you check the status of your apps. Carriers also have amazing resources. We have how to do business guides to teach you how to check the statuses of your application so you don't have to wait on our confirmation. Just understand that they need HIPAA-sensitive information. So date of birth and Medicare number always. And then some companies will require you to have a third piece of identifying information, which is the address. Also, keep in mind, because of HIPAA compliance and things like that, an upline that you don't have that contract with cannot check the status of your app. Like for us, if you have your, let's just say your Anthem contract, if you had that Anthem contract direct and not through Senior Marketing Specialist, when you call us and ask for help to check it, it is against HIPAA violation for us to write it because we don't have a relationship with you on that contract. So just make sure it's good to know who are those contracts with, to know who can help you in those situations.
Right. And the more the merrier on the information side. If you've got everything that you need, like she said, the date of birth, MBI, address, you know their favorite color, you know what they were wearing that day.
Okay, now we're getting creepy.
Okay.
Do you know,
Where's that edit?
If
Edit
you
30
smell
second edit.
anybody, I can't bleep that out, Clayton. I'm sorry. Don't sniff your clients. Anyways, you had a thing. I'm sorry.
But the more the merrier, because they might ask something off the wall that you're not prepared for out of those couple things. So if you've got the client's information there, you're going to get right through. I know that's the kind of general information we ask for is those big three is date of birth, MBI, and address.
Yeah. So, again, I can't say it enough. Please do not assume your business is okay. Please check the status of your applications. Learn those because that is by far one of the biggest issues we get during AEP is that, oh, my app didn't go through. What happened to it? Well, that was 6 weeks ago.
Yeah.
We don't know. The next thing that you need to do, and again, I'm going to throw this up there, and we're going to get pelted with questions, and I understand it's a big deal. Aggressive. Number one is going to be, guys, call recording. I've heard several agents say, like, I've had this question more than I can care to share. It's like, well, what's going to happen if I don't? Like, what if I don't? And I genuinely think, like, this year, guys, it's the year they're going to make examples of people. CMS is actively going to be doing audits to compare call center agents and field agents. So, like, the opportunity, the likelihood that you're going to be audited is higher than it would have been in previous years. So please, 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 just make sure you are doing call recording. If you're just like, the hell do I even start? We have the solution. Medicare Center has a pretty awesome incoming and outgoing call recording capability. So just making sure that you are utilizing that. That is going to be a huge, I don't want to say problem, but I don't know what else to call it.
Problem.
Okay, problem.
Yep.
Opportunity for growth. Opportunity for character growth is call recording this AEP. So just like you have it available now, do it now. The biggest issues that you're going to have with that is going to be if you are using a third party like your Ring Central or things like that, the issue that you're going to come into is going to be labeling and compliant storage of those. Right. So make sure that you do have a system in place of, one, making sure, like if you're using a free storage site, you're not paying for storage, that's not compliant. The likelihood of that getting, what's it called whenever somebody hacks?
Hacked.
The likelihood of that getting hacked is super high, and then you're liable because it wasn't a compliant way to store it. And then also, if you do get audited, being able to label and understand what call is related to what sale. Yeah,
it's that BAA, the Business Associate Agreement, is super necessary.
Yeah.
I know my compliance a little bit.
A little bit. Someone learned a new phrase yesterday.
So what that is like that HIPAA compliance storage that she's talking about. So there's a few different platforms that kind of would be good, like G Suite, Dropbox, like Microsoft, if you're using one of those third parties. General cost like $30, $50, somewhere in there. But Medicare Center, free to use if you're with an integrity partner, has all this stuff, can easily kind of be implemented into your system. I know Olivia's already done a couple trainings on that, with more to come, more videos to come. So keep watching those. As much as I don't like to hype her up, she's pretty good at what she does.
That's what I do here. I have one job and that's it. So please come to my training so I can remain employed. The next, again, problem that you're going to run into, this AEP, we actually ran into it today. My computer restarted 4 times today. And this is going to be more so for like your internet and just general computer technology. I am a huge advocate for online enrollments through Medicare Center, using the carrier app, CSG, whatever the case may be. There's 1.5 million reasons why e-applications are better than paper applications. And there's one really good reason why you still need to have paper applications on hand. That's just because technology isn't the most reliable all the time.
Yeah. Power outages happen. You know, maybe somebody cut a line somewhere down, so, like, it will go out.
Where do you live that people are just cutting lines?
I do it. It's me.
Oh, it's you. Okay.
It's really fun. Have you tried it? Don't knock until you try it, all right?
Sure, okay,
Come
my
on.
bad.
But definitely something you have to be aware of, because if you don't have another option, you don't want to leave that appointment not filling out the application.
Sure.
So one note that Olivia put on there was keep in the trunk of your car. Get one of those little storage boxes from, like, the Office Depot or something.
The Office Depot.
Well, not the off-brand Office Depot, the real one.
Okay, I apologize. I didn't know there was an imposter Office Depot out
Yeah,
there.
you haven't been shopping enough. So get one of those. Put it in the trunk of your car with kind of the general apps that you're typically writing, so you have something where it's safe. It's not going to get wet, not going to get dirty. It's in a nice little box in the trunk of your car during appointments.
And I think that it's just always good to have something on hand. Everything you might, if you're in your car, I think Clayton's example is perfect. You know, maybe you're in an area where they don't have internet. You don't want to stall the sale by trying to figure out your I said that correctly. Stall the sale by trying to correct your tech. Always a good option. Have it on hand, 100%. Terry asked a really great question. Ring Central has said that they only allow or save calls up to 90 days. Are transcriptions allowed? Here's what I'm going to do, because I think that's a really valid point. I will say Ring Central does have larger packages to where they will store it, or they will back up or do automatic backups of your call recordings onto a separate drive, which is what we do. Senior marketing specialists, we do use Ring Central. We have the storage for 90 days, but we back up all of our calls. I want to text Chaylin, because the transcription is interesting.
That I'm not sure
What
about.
about if you don't store the actual MP4, the call recording, but you have it transcribed?
Well, I know Ring Central, they'll save it for 90 days, and then it's gone off their platform, but you could download that, put it onto one of your, like, Dropbox, G Suite, something like that, to be able to save it past that 90 days. You're kind of double dipping in cost at that point.
Right.
But that is an option.
But, I mean, you do have to save for 10 years. I'm going to go full boomer, and I'm going to talk to text Jalen, because I don't want to text. So.
She does this to me, and I'm always
the
like, don't Siri text me.
Don't Siri text. Hey, Jalen, I'm currently on the cafe, and we have a question about if transcriptions of phone calls would suffice for the call recording. Let me know. None of that transcribed.
Oh, yeah, that's terrible.
Let's just send it and see what he says. Okay, so thank you. We do also have another question on our text line.
Yes, so I got a text here that says, we added somebody to Medicare Center yesterday. When I logged in this morning, they were there. I was preparing an email and couldn't remember her last name. The name no longer shows. What's the trick to finding somebody and that's been added on Medicare Center? When I click on contacts, it shows 0, even though I added 2 yesterday.
Ooh, I don't like that. I don't know. So you're texting me. I don't have your contact information. Whoever just texted that, can you text me your name and your NPN? I will send that off to Medicare Center and figure out what's going on, because I don't like that.
I wonder, is it something where it's going to be on Medicare Center and they're actually trying to use it on app?
It might be the case. It might be like
those platforms don't kind of communicate
That's
very
a
well.
great point. If there is, again, if you're putting content or information on Medicare app or Medicare Link, that does not automatically transfer to Medicare Center or vice versa. So send me your NPN and stuff. I'd like to check, but make sure like those are 3 separate platforms completely. Make sure that, if you are using Medicare app, you need to recreate that contact in Medicare Center. So moving on, the next issue, I'll let you know, Terry, if I hear back from Chaylin about like what we think about the transcriptions part of that. Here's kind of the next part of that. So what if you can't get your hands on an app? If you, again, like we said, we were going to say the same thing in the same breath, avoid paper applications. This is a huge issue with paper applications is during AEP. They are difficult to come by.
Right.
And it's really hard a lot of times to, like, again, the postage system right now is not reliable. There is, a lot of times we get shortage. I remember in 2013, it was when Care Improvement Plus. Who remembers Care Improvement Plus being a thing? Care Improvement Plus, who was an incredibly popular Medicare Advantage plan in the Midwest, eventually was bought by United Healthcare. They said, we are no longer going to send applications. Nobody is going to get a paper. And this was back well before lien was even a thing at that point. They didn't have an e-enroll option. They're just saying, we're not, if you want them, you got to print them out yourself. And I remember going on eBay and they were actually selling CIP, Care Improvement Plus. They were selling CIP applications on eBay.
It's a bold strategy.
It is. I don't know anybody about them. But again, so Clayton, I'd like to hear from your perspective. This is actually a test for you. When an agent calls in and says, I need an application, the lien is down, I have no internet, I need an app, what do I do? What would you tell them?
I'm going to look to see who's the rep in their area to try to get somebody that's got applications because those people keep them on hand like crazy. So that's going to be kind of my first, oh crap, we need this now. That's going to be the quickest route that I can think of.
Yep, I agree.
Outside of that, we might have some on hand. If you're a local here, that could be an option as well. A lot of these we can't really kind of print off ourselves, but we might have a PDF that we can send out and print out, have you print out while you're there. But the market reps are going to be your best friends. So get introduced to them right away.
Yeah, go to those local market rollouts that they do. There's so many reasons and so many advantages to being friends with your local market rep. This is just an example of it. I will say carriers have now updated to where they do allow PDFs. Most of them, not all of them. It used to be carriers, looking at you, Aetna, looking at you, Humana, didn't allow agents to print off PDFs of their applications because they were barcoded.
Right.
I think now almost all carriers do allow you to print PDFs of the application. So that's always an option. But absolutely, I think call us. We will handle it.
Right.
It's kind of the line there.
Yeah, a lot of these reps, if you're not introduced to them, we can try to help facilitate that relationship. There's a couple that I have a quick text response back and forth with them. So, if they're able to do that for me and I'm not writing business for them, I'm sure if you're out there trying to get applications and trying to write business so they can, hit their stuff, they're going to be able to respond back to you, try to help you out as much as they can.
So the next one I wanted to talk about was actually one that I didn't think about a ton. Carrie brought this to my attention. She says it happens to her all the time, and that's the client didn't bring the drug list. And so it is really frustrating because, even you can coach a client over and over, this is the stuff that they need, this is the stuff they need, and they forget or they just don't do it. They don't understand the value why you need it. And so it does happen, but you don't want to eat up that appointment, especially if you're in back-to-back appointments, you're booked through halfway through November, or even beyond that. What do you do when it's just this was your time, I don't have time to meet with you later, but you didn't bring something that's really important and valid that I need to do to compare your plans. And so the number one I always try to say is try to avoid the problem to begin with. In your communications, in every communications you have surrounding AEP, everything needs to be said, we need your drug list. Bring a list of your medications and the dosages. That's what needs to be constant communication. So try to avoid that. But whenever, again, you're going to be I'm the worst patient. I have all the time, hey, bring this list of things to me. And I show up and I'm with a Starbucks coffee. And I'm I'm forgetting something. So I am your nightmare of a client. Making sure what I always do is what I would recommend doing is going ahead and enrolling them in a plan so that you at least have something, but then following up prior to December 7th. That is not checked off. It's checked off until further update. But going ahead and getting them in something.
I think that's the best way to go about it is attacking it on the front end, and then let's put you on something today so we don't leave here without any drug coverage. Because that's the worst possible scenario.
Yeah.
Best scenario, you circle back to them towards the end of AEP and make sure that you have that drug list because at that point they know that they messed up.
Yeah.
And they know they need it. So it's on their coverage at that point. But follow up with them and make sure, as their advisor, hey, I really want to make sure this is a good drug plan for you.
Now, keep in mind, too, I know a lot of agents, we talk about OEP being the mistake fixing part, but keep in mind that only affects individuals who are on Medicare Advantage plans. So if you're enrolling something on a standalone PDP, OEP is not, they do not have the ability to fix the mistakes during OEP. So again, just to reiterate, go ahead and enroll them in that plan, but please do your due diligence and keep hella records that every single time you called them, every single time you reach out to them, keep records, because what could happen is that they can come January 1, they're on a plan that doesn't suit their drug list that they never gave you and you communicate with them. They could do a call to Medicare and complain about you to Medicare to switch drug plans. And then the burden of proof is on you to show like, no, I did my due diligence and enrolled them in the plan that was right for them at that time. So just keep a lot of records on those situations. I do recommend going ahead and enrolling them though.
Those are great CRM notes to throw in there. Like, didn't provide drug list, enrolled them in this plan so they didn't have zero coverage.
Yeah. Called them, asking for drug list. Emailed them, asking for drug list. Just showing that you did your due diligence.
Yep.
For sure. The next one is one that I get calls all the time on, and that is like, is this provider a network? And the reason why we get this a ton is because providers can change throughout the year. There was a ton, like last year we had a huge issue in mid-Missouri that one provider was very much just like, are we going to be in this plan? Are we not? Maybe. Yes, no, yes, no, maybe. And they ended up not being in the plan, but agents were hecka. I keep saying hella.
Yeah.
I'm feeling
I have a bad influence on you,
a little bit. They're really, there's a lot of confusion around that. And the worst part is that if you take a carrier, look at the WellCare with their Centene, look at UHC, Aetna, Cigna, all of these plans offer underage coverage, they offer group coverage, and they offer Medicare coverage. And so you call a provider and they say, oh, no, we don't take that plan, or yes, we do take that plan. And that's not a reliable source because they really don't know. Yeah. They don't know. And so what we always recommend is making sure that to be 100% sure if that provider is a network at the time of enrollment, please use the carrier sites. Please use the carrier sites. Even if you're using like Medicare Center or Medicare app and they do have the ability to run providers there, it's always a good idea just to double check on the carrier site, because the carrier site, whenever that provider leaves the networks or joins the network, is updated immediately. Third-party sites do not get that instant feedback, so always double check.
That's super important that it gets sent to the Medicare Center from the carrier. So the carrier's updated right away. Medicare Center, those third parties get updated later. One super handy tool to make sure that you guys have pinned, know where it is, get familiar with, is the AEP Toolkit.
Yes, queen.
So that one is going to have, you click on you want to know Aetna's, click on Aetna, scroll down a little bit. The team over on that side has really made it really simple to find your provider search or find that network and see what that is. Take you right to the carrier portal that you need.
You earned a high five for that one. Woo. Mary, I'm going to answer your question about how to call it from Medicare Center. I'm going to hold that till the end. So hang tight. I am going to answer your question about Medicare Center. I think I only have a couple more problems, our most common problems during AEP. The next one is going to be, oh my God.
Oof.
Medicare.gov is incorrect. And what? Oh my gosh, all the time. And it's so incredibly frustrating because you would think like, oh, this is a government website. You would think that would be up to date, correct, and accurate. No, it's not. So why, and what we're talking about, of course, is Medicare no. That's us.
We're talking on Medicare.
They're on Medicare Cafe. What we're talking about is Medicare.gov's, their plan comparison tool, their features. Back in 2017, 2018, what happened was Medicare.gov was employing Connecture. I was utilizing Connecture, which is Medicare Center and Medicare app, to basically run the plan comparison function that they have. In 2017, 2018, I'd have to get out my way back machine to think about it. They said, you know what, Connecture, we think we can do it better. And so they kicked them to the curb. That's why you saw Connecture go public to allow that to FMOs to have for their agents. And Medicare.gov started doing it themselves. Well, it tanked. Medicare.gov oftentimes is inaccurate. It has glitches. It's not updated. Keep in mind, guys, when a carrier updates their information, it takes Medicare.gov only updates their information every 2 weeks. Yeesh. So like that information is not correct for 2 weeks at a time. So just keep that in mind. Of course, other third parties like Medicare Center does it almost immediately. So if Medicare.gov, if you're comparing Medicare.gov and Medicare Center and they're not matching up, don't panic. It's common. 9 out of 10 times is actually because Medicare.gov is inaccurate. An update was made by the carrier that Medicare.gov has not updated their sites yet. Best thing to do, though, if there is a disruption, go to the carrier website. Again, just like we talk about with providers, carrier sites will update immediately. So they're the best place to go to if there is a discrepancy. The carrier site is going to be the 100% accurate one.
Yeah, and that's something I know just on the Facebook page is something I try to update on if we see a big issue with Medicare.gov. A little while back, some of the drugs were saying there was no drug coverage on this inmate plan, which was super not true and super annoying. So that's another great reason. I'm going to selflessly plug that page one more time. Follow that page. Try to get updates of stuff that we're seeing. Or if y'all see something like that, throw it on that page. Other agents are going to be super happy to see that.
Oh, for sure. That's what that page is for, is communication and make sure we're all, in this together and helping each other out. Belinda was going back to talking about the providers. She said, I go beyond the carrier sites because the carrier site is not always reliable. I called 8 providers on a carrier site on behalf of a client that was not taking new patients. So again, just making sure it is hard out there to make sure, what is the reliable way to make sure that plan is in network and that carrier provider is taking new patients. So I think it is just trust but verify.
Yeah. And I love that, the going beyond, just to double check and make sure everything's there.
Queen Belinda.
She's great.
I love it. So again, I think this is the last one. I don't remember. I made this yesterday, so who can be sure? The biggest issue we're having right now is this compliant? And I'll tell you why. We're having, again, our compliance officer, Chaylin, did a training for us yesterday, and I learned so much. I've done so much studying on what's going on in compliance as AEP, and I still learned a ton from what they were talking about. The biggest thing is, guys, last October 8th is when the world stood still for insurance agents. That's whenever it happened that they announced the call recording features and, of course, the new chain of enrollment rules for the compliance. So again, it's really hard. Me, who I do nothing but study these rules and train on these rules, I'm still learning every single day about what these rules actually mean. So you need to make sure that you have a partner out there that is doing the research for you and educating you on what compliance is doing starting October 1.
For sure. There's a lot of good resources out there. Just make sure they're credible ones, because some people go out of their way to try to make it seem easier than it is, or to make it worse than it is. So there's a lot of different information out there on different forums, everything like that. Just make sure your source is credible and reliable.
I think that's super important. Everybody's talking about it. I saw a post the other day on one of the forums that was like, oh, Medicare CMS has announced that they are overturning the call recording rules. You don't have to worry about that. And everybody's like, oh, thank goodness. And I'm like, it's not true. Please plan accordingly, because that's not happening.
It's like, oh, there's a petition out there. It's got a lot of signatures, but that doesn't mean anything today.
What's the way that CMS is viewing that petition is basically like, oh, a bunch of wolves are petitioning to watch over the flock of sheep. That's the way that it's being viewed right now. Of course the wolves want to watch the sheep. Of course there's a bunch of signatures from the wolves. That's not what's happening. We all know, the agents who are signing that petition are good, trustworthy field agents that are doing best for their clients. We just got to prove it for a year, guys. We got to prove it. And I genuinely think that those rules are going to lighten up. But we got to play by the rules for at least a year, if not a couple. So.
Right. And I think a big highlight, too, is something that's on one of these slides says about not every piece is going to be marketing and needs to be CMS approved. Something we did, I think it was yesterday, was talking about communications versus marketing.
That's what I picked up the most on.
Yeah, that was a huge one for me.
What's the difference between communications and marketing? Because communications, you don't have to have CMS approved. You don't have to do that. But that line is so thin of what's marketing versus what's communication.
And that's something where you might not be able to determine that yourself, and to have somebody or have a partner that can check over your marketing piece because at this point, it's probably too late to get it approved by CMS 410.1. So how can we tweak it to make it a communication instead of a marketing piece this late in the game?
No, I think that's you just got to have the partners. So we do have an on-staff compliance officer. We also have a direct line to CMS to submit those pieces if they need to be submitted. However, we like to toe on the line of like, let's change a couple words so that this is now communication and it's not marketing and does not need to be submitted. So again, guys, that is one more thing that is like what most people don't consider. Guys, it's the last quarter of the year. Don't forget that you are human. If you watched the sales summit, during the main stage portion, we had some of our top AEP agents on there to talk about what they do during AEP. This was a huge focus for them. Have a first aid kit, have your Tylenol, have your ibuprofen, have a 5-hour energy, whatever you need to do, granola bars, other non-perishable foods, and please take your vitamins. It is really important to know that, like, if you are ran down, you're not performing your best. Right. So don't let yourself get worn down. Do all this stuff.
Something that made me laugh this morning is, are you having a Snickers moment? Like, are you hungry? Do you need Snickers? So make sure you got those snacks. Is that how you spell vitamins?
I did a spell check.
Because that just looks weird. It's one of those words that's going to make me mad. I'm going to hate it.
It's either vitamins or is the country.
It could be.
I'm not really sure.
But regardless, the message there is amazing. Take your vitamins. Flintstones taste good. Go back to those if you have to.
Ooh. Yeah. If they could come up with like an adult Flintstone, basically just more Flintstone.
Yeah. Like I want to be able to eat 8.
I want to eat 8 of this and it'd be fine.
But super important, the gas station sushi thing popped back into my head again of like, okay, fine, I'll get a hot dog from the gas station then. Whatever.
Stop eating at gas stations.
It's quick and easy.
I mean, like, I think that's if it's quick and easy, you don't want it. I have so many your mom jokes to make here. I'm going to calm down.
Good call,
because I have an audience that this is being recorded. I'm sure your mom's a very nice lady.
Right. Georgia's amazing.
So again, guys, that is our list of what we have to talk about. Again, like the top things, as far as what we do in agent resources, the top things and the issues that we hear about during AEP, that's it. So make sure that you do, of course, take care of yourself, have your first aid kit, have your survival kits in office, but make sure, I think the biggest thing we talk about is just preparation. Know that those issues are going to happen, and the more that you can do now to prepare for those issues and have plans in place for those issues, the better off you're going to be come October 1st.
Right. Something super helpful for me is to get what we did yesterday of by priority groupings, like what do I need to focus on? So right now you could jot down some plans of what are you focusing on to get ready for these coming weeks.
Sure.
And say, hey, I need to make sure my clients get me their drug list. I need to make sure I have some paper apps in the car.
Yep.
I need to make sure I have my vitamins.
Vitamins. It's a new company I'm starting. Vitamins.
Yes. But get that stuff prepared. I think you guys are going to be great.
How come spell check let me keep it? Vitamin. I think it's vitamin. So a couple questions I want to address here really quickly is Joe asked, what are the top couple of prescription drug plans for the Medicare Advantage customer and clients? Joe, that is a very, very loaded question. It has everything to do with where you're selling and the drugs that your clients are taking. So again, every area is going to be different. Every state is different. What I would recommend doing, Joe, is actually calling our outreach team and talking to them, because the outreach team will build your portfolio based on your selling style, based on where you're located, based on your clients, and based on keeping you in business with good commissions. So call us, we'll walk you through, and we'll help you make the decision of what drug plans and Medicare Advantage plans you should be advising on this year.
For sure.
Brad said, how long is your compliance webinar on Thursday going to last? I need to hit the road that day. Brad, I'll tell you this. I did a compliance. I actually did a Medicare center walkthrough on Thursday. It was supposed to be 30 minutes, and it was 2 hours long because of compliance questions. So I can't give you that answer. I will say that we try to keep them to 30 minutes, but it will be recorded. So you can go back and listen to the recording on our YouTube channel if that is what you need to do.
Ooh, and Shaylin just did that recent video on compliance too. So that's on the YouTube page now.
This is like you're here. You're on Medicare Cafe's YouTube page. Just when we're done, don't go yet. But when we're done, just type in Senior Marketing Specialist. We have a video up there that Shaylin just did about compliance updates.
Yep.
And Any other questions, comments, concerns, threats, or promises, put them in the text box or the questionnaire box.
I don't have any here, but I got Mary G's info for the Medicare Center check.
Yeah, so Medicare Center. What is the trick for making an outbound call on Medicare Center? So again, guys, we do have a Medicare Center demo on our website, so you can go there. I'm also going to be doing a Medicare Center walkthrough Thursday afternoon at 2 o'clock Central Standard Time if you want kind of like the live version and the interaction to ask your questions. The biggest thing is to make an outbound call, and that is recorded using Medicare Center, is you have to go through the client's profile. So you make a profile with your client, including the phone number that you want them dialed. And then to make that phone call, you go in your client's profile, click the phone number, then the Medicare Center will call you, the agent. And when you answer the phone, it'll then call the consumer. So the Medicare Center number that you are assigned is basically just a 3-way call system. It calls you, it calls the client, and vice versa.
And then, boom, recorded.
And then magic. So we did, if you guys are familiar with Terrell from our office, me, Terrell, and actually Benjamin kind of sat through and talked through, like, how can we get Medicare Center? Because right now, the downside of Medicare Center is that you have to have a new number that clients have to call into or that will come up on your client's ID. We did find a way to make it so that it is your number that comes up on their caller ID. It is very messy, though. Ew. It is very messy. It requires 2 devices and 2 phone numbers. Yeah, so the way that we decided it, and again, this is very messy. If this doesn't make sense to you, I literally, when we were talking through it, took off my rings because I couldn't wear my rings and focus at the same time.
Too much.
It's like, this is just too much. This is too much.
It's too much stuff on me.
Too much simulation. I need to be done here. But what happened was that if you have, like, let's just say, like, you have to have 2 phone numbers. So let's just say you have, like, a Google Voice number. It's like a burner number.
Right.
No one's ever going to see that number, but you'll know that number. You put the Google Voice number into your Medicare Center profile. Like that is the number that will be called. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah. I'm following.
So
on their profile.
And this is the number that
Burner
will be
number.
linked to. Yeah. So the profile on your agent, on your Medicare Center burner number. That way, so whenever you want to make an outbound call, what you do is on the number that you want recognized on the caller ID, you call that burner number that connects to the Medicare Center. You call your Medicare Center line. When that picks up, you then have an additional call to the client. Then merge those calls.
Before you call the client.
When you call the client and it starts ringing, merge the calls.
Got it.
So the call will be coming from your agent number that they recognize, but will be recorded on Medicare Center. It is super, super messy, super convoluted. I don't think it's worth the energy to do that.
Because would that move it to their client profile, or are they going to have to move that
They would
themselves?
have to move it themselves every time.
Okay. So workaround for getting your caller ID to pop up, but
Creates
then
a
you're
lot
going to
of
have to
issues.
do some back-end work on moving that to their thing.
Yes, my friend.
Okay.
So.
Yeah. Option.
But not a good option.
It is something.
Still an option.
So they could do that or kind of let their clients know, I have an enrollment line. I'm going to be calling you from this.
If you want to be logical about it, fine.
Oh, sometimes I like to be. Most of the time, not.
Any other questions, comments, concerns, threats, and or promises, please let me know. And I think that is it. Awesome. Okay, so you're going to do the Carrie sign-off. Okay?
Carrie sign-off.
The sign-off is, have you seen the show?
I've never watched.
Never watched?
No.
Long-time listener, first-time caller?
Yeah, for sure.
So what I do is I say have fun.
Okay.
You say
Have
make
fun.
money. No, you say make money.
Make money.
And then we both say and give impeccable service.
Give impeccable service. I have heard that. What'd I say?
I don't think you can do this.
I don't think I can.
I'm nervous that you're
I
not.
messed up my wedding when they made me repeat that thing.
Ooh.
It was hard.
Ooh, yeah.
I'm just as nervous.
I'm just as nervous now as I was for my wedding. Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay.
All right. So until next time, guys, have fun
Make money.
and give impeccable service. You nailed it.
Gosh, I'm good.
Thanks, guys.